Hello everybody, welcome to the NC podcast. My name is Natasha Collins and I am the host and founder of NC Real Estate, which includes its members club for landlords and property investors to come and build profitable property portfolios that completely align with their goals. Now, I know we are all in absolute uproar at the moment and things might seem overwhelming, scary, just absolutely chaotic. I've been putting together a working paper which I've been updating on the regular about what's going on for property investors and how you can put in place a strategy and work with your tenants to survive this frustrating outbreak that we all are we have no idea what's going to happen, but we can mitigate against some of the worst stuff that's going on. So I'm going to put the link below, but it's www.ncrealestate.com/COVID-19. It's free. I'm not asking for your email address or anything, but go over there, click the link, and you'll see the PDF pop up. You'll see that the versions keep changing. So if you've downloaded it once and there's more updates you want to know about, please just go back and download the next one because we're on about version 4. It's updating so regularly, so come back, download it. There's more information. It's to help you through this time. I know it's really uncertain. We don't quite know how it's going to pan out, but we can certainly put in place things to mitigate our risk so that we can continue on. Because one of the big messages that I want to get across here is that property investment is long term. We're not doing this for the short term, so we are going to survive whatever happens. So please, again, I'll put the link below. It's the working paper. Click on the link, go and see it, download the PDF, keep going back, downloading it as there's updates. So that's a free resource for you. Anyway, let's get on with today's podcast. Today, I'm so excited. I've got Tej. Hi, Tej.
Greetings. Hello.
From the awesome podcast, Tej Talks. If none of you have heard of this before, please. He's got it on his t-shirt. For those of you who are just listening on the podcast, I'm going to put the link to Tej's podcast below. Go and listen to that as well. He's a property investor, the host of the Knightsbridge PPN, which I'm sure a lot of you already know because a lot of people have been in contact with me and said that they go, and a personal branding expert. Tej has purchased 14 houses in 8 months, which is very good going, raised £538,000 of investment finance, and his podcast has 265,000 listens in 90 plus countries after 15 months. Amazing. Hi.
Thank you. Hi. I think it's 15 houses now because I bought one on Thursday, so it may have changed, but yeah, about that amount. It's very stressful is what I'll say to start this off with.
Why is it stressful? What's going on?
I think someone said to me, Tej, you're buying all these houses, so does that mean that you get all the lessons and mistakes and challenges like at once and a lot quicker? And I was like, yeah, it actually does. And I don't know why I'm surprised at that. I'm like, why is it all happening at once? But I think dealing with so many houses, so many refurbs, so many conveyances, and then all the little details within each little thing, when they're, 150 miles away from home, is inherently quite stressful, especially if you're managing. I think now I've got 4 or 5 refurbs on at once, and I'm going to have 2 or 3 more in the next few weeks. Again, I don't live where I invest. So yeah.
Where do you live? Where are you investing?
So I live in West London at Heathrow Airport, and then I'm investing in South Wales. So anywhere from like 150 miles from home up to like about 180 in the furthest place, and then up and down. So it's quite a wide range within South Wales that I invest, but it's easily 2.5 hours from home.
Ooh, are you driving or are you getting the train?
I'm driving because when I get there, to get in between all the towns and everything, using their public transport would just be total chaos. And it rains a lot. So I kind of like, I have to get the car. And I carry stuff like boilers that I've ordered cheap in bulk. And, I'm a bit like a wannabe builder. My car's full of crap. So I kind of carry stuff as well. So it won't work.
I don't know how you do that. We have completely different methods of how we think about these things, and we will get onto that in a little bit. I think the very first thing we have to talk about is it's not even the elephant in the room. We need to talk about our COVID-19 strategies.
Yes. So I guess I'll start a bigger picture for me. The bigger picture for me is, property is a 10, 15, 30, 50, 60 year strategy for me. And I'm mainly in it for capital appreciation. So whilst, on the path of generally prices always going up and things going up, there's going to be wobbles, there's going to be crashes, there's going to be dips. For me, I'm not overly bothered. We got over the '08 crash, we got over the one before that, and the one before. I know this is like unprecedented and it's like totally brand new. And for me, bigger picture, what that means is we don't really have any clue. The Daily Mail can say, property price is going to crash. The Guardian can have 10 educated people talking about, blah, blah, blah. Bigger picture, I kind of am just like, look, in the long run, they're going to either be the same or go up slightly, depending on where you invest. So on a bigger picture, I'm not sort of fussed. I'm not like, what does the outlook hold? The only thing I'm concerned about is like revaluations on house prices. I'm like, should I be doing it ASAP? Should I be waiting? But I just don't know. I think day to day, and what you mentioned before about your PDF, your ebook that you have, and why it's changing so much is because, yes, we've got mortgage rate relief for buy-to-lets and residential. Tenants potentially have rent deferment, if not a rent holiday, which some of them seem to think it is, if they can't work. So I think there's a few things that the government are doing which are going to help us and support us through it. I think the thing that's tricky, which may be getting released as we're recording this, is what they're doing for self-employed people, like what they're actually doing. Because it's whole 80% thing, or is it universal credit? I think if you have cash reserves, which I think you should always keep, like I'm growing aggressively, portfolio's gone from 0 to 1.3 million in 8 months, but I still have a cash reserve that I will not touch. I don't care. Best deal ever. And I've got no investors. I'll just be like, I just won't touch it. And it stays at a certain level. So I'm kind of protected in these periods, but I have I'm fortunate that this can happen. But I think the main lesson is always have cash reserves, communicate with tenants, with mortgage lenders, and also communicate with the community. Like, what are you doing about it, Natasha? What are you doing about it? What is he doing about it to protect ourselves? But yeah, I think the main thing is it's uncertain, and it's very, very uncertain. It changes every day. So I don't know, much ado about nothing.
That's so optimistic. I have to be honest and say that I've been looking at it, and before they have been dripping this out on a daily basis, they'd got to a stage last week where I just sat, my head in my hands, I'm like, oh my God, anybody who's got no money in the bank and is a landlord or property investor is about to be screwed. And then I thought, okay, we'll take a step back, think about it a bit calmly. So we have to get through 3 months. If you haven't got any cash reserves and your tenants stop paying rent, and again, it's a rent holiday, it's not a rent-free period, they have to pay that back at the end of the 3 months. My biggest tip of advice for all landlords and property investors is speak to your tenants and get them paying something. The government are putting so much money into helping people stay afloat that they shouldn't be not paying us, because then they get in 3 months of arrears, and it's so hard to get tenants to pay back up that much. The less that they owe at the end of the 3 month period, the easier it is for everybody.
Yeah.
And so when we start reframing that and thinking, actually, how can we help our tenants? Can we actually give them information which helps them go and get this money so that we can continue with our cash flow? If we can do that, giving them the details for how you phone the NHS helpline, how you get your sick note so that you can still get money in, so then the tenants are getting money so they can still pay you. These are things that we have to be doing right now, rather than running away and hiding and thinking, oh my God, we've got no money coming in. And I know from experience, well, I'm having it happen now. I've got one Airbnb, just one, and my bookings are drying up. And I was looking at that and I was thinking, oh my gosh, eventually that will pick back up, or I can change strategy. But for the short term, it is what it is. And then you have to start cash flow forecasting and seeing where money's coming from. Again, we can't run and hide, because if this is long term, you can't give up.
Yeah, and I think I'm the same. I have one SA that I own, but it's not on a mortgage yet. It's still on a bridge. So I'm paying not a lot, but a fair amount every month. I've just kind of accepted for the next 3 months, I'm sure it might be better than that. And we're trying every tactic to get it full. I'm just like, that's lost money. But actually, bridges, they don't have to give these sort of payment holidays. I've already kind of got the cogs, in order, and I've said, hey, by the way, if I had to do this, what's the sitch? So I'm basically going to call them tomorrow and say, look, the SA has fallen off a cliff. As you can understand, can we talk about a payment holiday? Because it'll cost more, there'll be a bit more interest on it, but the cash flow will be sorted. And it's communication like that, right? Not being scared to ask, like big old bridger, like just communicate, right?
Yeah, because that's the only way you keep this going. And that's and also reach out to people that who are going through similar situations. Ask what they're doing. Don't be afraid in this situation to ask for help, because it supports the whole industry if we all keep going. The minute you start defaulting your mortgages because you've not put your hand up and said, please, can I have some help? That's when we're all screwed.
Yep. Big time credit goes, yep. Don't want to do that.
We do not want to be doing that at all. So how are you feeling about your developments?
So I don't do any development. I don't do any building from land. No, all kind of buy to lets. So, I mean, there's quite a few sort of mid refurb or on the market, which is a problem because viewings have tanked. Yes, there's video viewings, blah, blah, blah. But, the activity level has dropped significantly, so much so that, again, I'm facing a month or two, whatever, of empty houses because nobody wants to leave the house, especially as things get tighter and tighter and we face what seems like an imminent and maybe necessary lockdown. The ones that are in refurb, the builders, because there's one or two on site, they're following social distancing. They're taking hand sanitizer with them. I've said to them, look, lads, if you want to stay at home, what do you want to do? I'm not here to tell you. And they said, mate, like, we love doing this. We're not idiots in the park rubbing up on each other. Like, we're 2 minutes from, we're 2 meters at least from each other. We're not, and they're like, look, we're following the rules, but we got a job to do and we got money to earn. We're going to keep on doing it. So but they're saying, Tej, builders merchants are closing down. We need to order material. So that's more cash up front for me. So it's, I'm not worried just because of my attitude towards it, but of course we have every reason to be worried, but therefore I've kind of got things in place with the bridges and I've said, look, what can we do about this? And my private investors, I've already messaged them and said, look, I'm happy to keep paying them because you still earn an income from it. However, if you want to do a holiday thing, let's talk about it. So yeah, I'm not overly concerned yet. However, literally by the end of the time we recorded this, it could change. So
we have no idea.
Yeah, in a week we could be like rioting and looting and who knows?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And for those of you who are listening, we're recording this on the 23rd of March, so we only have knowledge up until today's date. Everything could change in the next week, in which case this will be a bit of fun to listen to.
Yeah. look at those people back in the past. Oh, now we're living on Mars. Now we're like fighting for everything. Yeah, who knows?
Yeah, exactly. But it's definitely, if we can give one message, please don't everybody throw in the towel. Yep. It's not the time to do it. This is a minor blip in a long-term property investment strategy. Mm-hmm. So should we talk about your strategy?
Go for it.
Let's get into it. What is your property investment strategy?
So mine is what a lot of people call small deals or foundational or the beginner strategy. So it's buying buy-to-lets, so below market value. I think on average, at least 40% below market value, at least, I think. Buying them on a bridge with an investor or buying them outright with an investor. So it's to buy, refurbish, refinance, do the refurbishment, which sometimes, because I get such a good deal, I mean, 2 of my projects, like one of the refurbs is $5,000, but it's going to add about 30 grand's worth of value back to the property. Another one's $7,000, that's going to add about 40 grand's worth of value back, which sounds crazy. But obviously if you buy cheap enough, and actually, to be totally blunt, I don't even need to spend 5 or 7K. Like, I could revalue them and they would be market, but it's not my level of quality I want to put out there. So buy a house here, refurbish it for that much, and then I get it revalued or refinanced up here. That mortgage comes through, pays off the investor, pays off the bridger, pays off everyone. I'm left with an asset that probably leaves in anywhere from £0 to £5,000, or it pulls some out, and it will net 300 to 380 a month. I self-manage because they're buy to let, so there's not really any management, and we've done the refurb right. There shouldn't be any management really. And I just do that. I buy as many as I can. I'm aiming for 3 a month this year, although I'm not stopping, but I'm just observing for the next week or two. They're all 2 beds or 3 beds. They're all, your standard terraced houses. There's nothing in particular special about them, and it is foundational, but it's the most passive form of income because it's families for 10 years. You never hear from them. It's great, and they look after it. And so whilst it's sort of as boring, people might say, and some people say, oh, when you're going to do bigger deals, I'm like, why do I want to take on this much debt to not sleep at night, to wait for Brexit or the virus or this or that to ruin my exit, to build from mud when I can just buy a ready built house? And then so that's my strategy, and that's, I guess, also my risk profile within it, and why I don't do things like developments, at least not yet anyway.
Yeah. Okay. And how are you doing this? Because this is a question that everybody's going to probably ask you before. Limited company or your own name? How did you do it?
Limited company, because I'm buying multiple, and because I think it's a lot smarter when you're buying multiple to pull your money out in tax efficient ways, and also to have group structures with flip companies, and it keeps it clean cut as well. I know mortgages and bridges will make you personally liable anyway, but it's just nice to kind of have your own tax affairs and your business tax affairs separate, and then it's just a nice way to wrap things, I think. I'm not an accountant now. I'm not qualified to give financial advice. I have to just give that disclaimer before anyone tries to sue me.
We don't do tax advice on this podcast. Yep, exactly, I just have to ask the questions that I know I can hear my audience, and that's going to be one of them. So let's talk about persistence for a second, because you've just told me that you're offering so much below market value. You're getting that 40% discount, and people are going to be listening and going, how on earth is he doing that? And I listened to your podcast, and on one of your podcasts you said that you put in 115 offers after 140 viewings and only had 4 of those offers accepted. Okay, so how do you have the time? How did you find those deals?
So I'll answer other way around. So how do I find the deals? So there's a lot of people who say, oh, Rightmove is dead, Zoopla's dead, if any deals are on there, you're too late, I'm off market kind of guy. Shut up. It's absolute rubbish, okay? I promise you, because I have secured every deal I've bought, apart from 4 or 5, are on the internet. You could have found them. Your mom could have found them. My mom could have found them, right? Anyone can find them. Whether it's auctions, Rightmove, on the market, Zoopla, estate agent's website, whether it's from just calling and saying, what have you got? Everything I've bought has been, apart from 4 or 5, has been publicly available. So firstly, that's bullshit. That's how I find them. The internet. I sit here on my computer typing away and I find it. How have I secured deals? Is through relationships. It's through knowing the right people who can give me access, knowing agents on a certain level that they kind of want to say, Tej, look, this is how much you need to offer. If you can offer that, they'll accept, and we'll get it done. We'll get it done. I'm like, cool. Well, that's how much I'm going to offer then. Or having relationships with auctioneers or different people who can. You never realize how much of an effect people have on the transactional, business of buying property. So the internet has got me the deal in terms of found me the deals. Relationships with people has secured the deals. How do I have time? Honestly, so when I go up, to Wales for viewings, I will, from say 9 to 5, you can do viewings. I do have a fairly large investment area. I think it's 80 square miles. However, I think that's correct. My math's not very good, but like, it's not like the whole area. It's like 80 square miles is a square and there's bits in between it. So it's not technically that. So I often have kind of longer drives between places. What I do is just call up, or I book as early as I can and say, right, how many viewings can we squash into a day? How many viewings in the same towns can we squash and organize? So to be honest, the answer is admin. The real truth is that not eating, so for the whole day. So eating breakfast, and sometimes not because I wake up late, getting to my investment area the whole day, not peeing for the whole day. This is real life. Like this is the shit that happens because you're literally just like, well, where's the time in my diary? And none of these houses have working toilets because they're all shitholes. So you're like, okay, those two are super important. Like literally just being like, right, viewing the whole day is how I did this. And yes, I could have done, I could have looked after myself better, but then it would have been slower. So my answer is sacrifice, admin and sacrifice.
Are you doing your own admin? How long did that take you to book?
So it doesn't take too long because I know the areas and I know the agents and I know which ones I want to see, and I give it enough time that they can then, that I know how to book it in. I can't put a time on it. I have considered getting a VA to do it. I'm getting a VA to chase up offers and view, things like that. But because my diary is can be a bit last minute, and I kind of, at the moment, it's easier for me to do it, especially because I have knowledge of the areas and the times and it's just easier with my local knowledge. But as time goes on, and I'm doing less and less physical viewings now, so as time goes on, it will be less me and more, someone, VA.
Are you doing less viewings because you know the properties that you're looking at, the agents know you, and you can just put in an offer before you go and see it?
Yeah, and I've got friends who will do viewings for free or for like take them for dinner or like 10, 15 quid. Or my builders, there was a house for sale next door to mine, and I was like, mate, just go have a look. Or my builders just know people in the local areas, and they're like, Tej, that house has been empty for 10 years. Do you want the guy's details? Yes. Of course I do.
Of course I do.
Yeah, what are you waiting for? Like, just send it. Which reminds me, I need to chase him or something. So and now I know exactly what I'm looking for. I see so many alerts, so much stuff, like you said, and I'm just like, I just know, like, it sounds defeatist, but you just know, like, nah, it's just not going to work. It's just not what I'm looking for. So you become more efficient within yourself. But it's taken, 8 months of doing it full time to be at this stage, and I'm nowhere near super proficient or anything.
Do you use sources?
I used sources for my first 2 deals. Very expensive, overcharged really for the service I believe they delivered, and they both know this. I'm very vocal with them and with everyone. I think most sources are not good, to be honest. I think there are some who are okay. There's like 0.01% who are fantastic, who are like, whoa. Then there's a majority who are like, okay, you're a bit average. And then there's maybe another majority who are just total trash. But this is not aimed at sources. This is like any industry, I think, where you have an easy barrier to entry. So personal trainers. You ever been to the gym and you see a trainer, you're just like, you're injuring them. Like, that's not how you do it. Or estate agents or recruitment consultants. I used to be one. Like, when a barrier to entry is low, like with sourcing, what do these training courses say? It's straightforward, it's simple, which it can be, but it is very difficult. You get a lot of people who aren't passionate or want to do it properly. They want a few stepping stones to then get them somewhere else. So it's kind of a tricky one. When I say the majority are bad, it doesn't mean they're bad people or bad investors, but they just don't give enough of a shit to be really, really good at it. And that's, whose fault is it? I don't know. That's my condensed view on sources.
Don't worry, I ranted about it far too much. For anybody who listened to a podcast about 5 weeks ago where I went off on one about sources versus investment agents who are chartered surveyors.
There's a lot to be said.
Yes. I was just asking your opinion on whether you use them or not. So it's pretty much all you.
It's all me. The thing is, most sources go on Rightmove, send you a link. All right, I'll just find on Rightmove myself, which I've done many times. Or my friends have. So
gosh.
I don't need to use them, especially because I'm so active myself. I've built a network. It's just like, okay, look, if it was a genuinely off-market deal, I don't know, straight from the council, and it was like a block of flats and it was something, you know, amazing, I would consider. But I also know I could get that myself. So when you source yourself and you source X many deals, you're just like, oh, you know what? I can do this myself if you want to.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's now talk about bridging finance.
Yeah.
How long do you bridge for? What interest rates are you paying? And how have you found bridging lenders as a whole?
So how long do I bridge for? 12 months, because I don't really find a difference in the terms from 6, 9 or 12.
Okay.
I'm just playing safe, you know, like why risk going on to a 5% a month default or something, which it can be. Rates started off at, for 75% LTV above 50k, I think it started off at like 0.9. Below 50k I think it was like 1. Above 50k now I think it's come down to like 0.75. I think below 50 I think it's about the same.
Mm-hmm.
As far as I can tell, I also get free legals because my solicitor dual represents. I also get desktop valuations because of relationship, track record, and the fact that this bridger just offers it, and I'll speak about who they are. So for me, there's always a broker who says, oh, guys, I can get you a better rate than that. That's really expensive. And I'm like, no, you can't, because I've done the research. I know what I'm doing. You haven't factored in costs and fees and things like that. So for me and my profile and things I'm buying, this is the cheapest I can get. Also the smoothest. Like we're talking 5-day completion. Yeah, no worries. 7-day, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, those are the rates I get. I think the standard entry fee is like 800 quid. It's the minimum I can have. There's no exit fee. Interest is either deducted, so it's taken off the gross loan, or it's paid monthly. There's no rolled up option, which is one challenge, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So I use Together Finance. Now I've been using them. Well, I've used them on five. Now it's going to be 7 or 8 deals, and I've paid them back on a few. And so we've got a great relationship. I've been up and I've met them in Manchester. And yeah, look, the first time you work with a bridger, it's going to be painful. They're going to want to know everything about you. They're going to want to know every little detail. I think as much as it is also their fault, it's your fault, because it's hard to say when you're new to property, but come prepared and just say, right, Mr. and Mrs. Bridger, what do you need from me? What forms, what stuff do I need to get for you? Like, just tell me everything and I'll package it for you beautifully.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and speak to other people who've bridged and say, where were your challenges? Where were your mistakes? Because then you'll know what to provide them with, so that it doesn't sting you in the arse. I think, you know, ever since the first time, which was tricky, and also I had a bad broker then who basically ruined it, it's honestly been so smooth. It's, you know, here's an address. They've got all my up-to-date forms, details. Literally, here's an address. Here's a quote, which is just for jokes anyway, because I know what it's going to be. You know my solicitor anyway.
Yeah.
Get on with it. And it's I've no complaints about it Together, and they've been fantastic, to be honest. So I love bridging. It's very, very powerful.
Mm-hmm. I have a couple of clients using Together, and it's been so successful with them just flipping onto next deals. Yeah. I'd say they're really good bridgers. I've had some awful experiences bridging finance, and
yeah,
I'm pleased to say that they're actually doing really well.
Definitely.
Okay, so then moving on to investors then. How are you finding your investors? Do you find the deal first or the investors first?
Okay, it's like chicken and egg, right? Like you can think about it for ages, and you know what? There's logic and there's pros and cons to both. I am always looking for both. So I guess I'm in the period where there's always a flux. There's always an equilibrium between, I've got plenty of deals, I've got some investors, and then sometimes I got less deals, more investors, sometimes more deals, less investors. So, okay, what I will say is I found it easier to get investors when I have a deal, because there's something more tangible, and they can say, oh, okay, there's a deal. I can see you've put margins in, blah, blah, blah. I can see what I'll get back with this physical house. It just feels a lot more tangible to people. I would always recommend doing both, like just generally having conversations, saying you're looking for investment finance. If someone said to me, Tej, here's 400 grand, but I need you to take it in a week, just because of whatever. And I was like, I haven't got any deals right now, or I only had 30 grand's worth of deals. Am I going to say, oh, sorry, mate, go to someone else? I'm going to say, nope, we good. Let's talk, let's invest. Because I know that once that impetus is there and I message the right people and I will have deals, you know? And I guess it's the same with deals. When you have more deals, it pushes you to then be like, shit, I need more investors. I will also say, never stop fundraising. I've made the mistake of raising money. Cool, got enough. 4 houses came in and I'm like, yeah, that shifted quick time. And so always be fundraising. Even from day one, like 0 properties, 100, whatever, always be fundraising. How do I find them? Social media. So my brand, my podcast, my public speaking, people seeing me on things like this. Just, I guess, being visible is probably the one way to summarize how investors find me, because I don't, it's kind of a bit of both, but normally they sort of find me, engage with my content for 1 month, 6 months, whatever. And then we have a meeting of minds and then it kind of goes from there.